Internet, how's it going? We're back. Hey, Lucy, how you feeling? Lucy's here. Hope everybody had a wonderful holiday weekend. Hope everybody is grand. I need to find a new. I need to find a new intro. I want to. I want to do like a Mister Rogers thing. Like I call everybody my neighbor. Like, hey neighbor, welcome. We're getting our news on together. Isn't that fun? We're going to see what's going on in the world. Do you dig it? Do you dig it? Hope everybody is well. What's up, Karen? What's up, Tim? What's up, B-Dub? See you tomorrow. Awesome. I will see you in Omaha, Nebraska tomorrow. I take it that's what you're talking about. And I'm stoked for that, B-Dub. I will see you very soon. Artie Patterson, nice to see you in San Francisco. That was a fun night. What's up, Lance? What's up, Slow News Day? What's up, Statutory? What's up, Doug? What's up, Matthew? And you had a good time in San Francisco as well. I'm glad you had fun. I had a really good time. That was a good time. Shout out to everybody who I got to see in San Francisco on what night was that? That was Sunday night, right? Yeah, Sunday night. Man, that was only 2 days ago. That was a fun time. And I'm going to get to see a bunch of you next week. Grandma Wood and myself are going on the road. Omaha, Nebraska, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Madison, Wisconsin, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Iowa City, Iowa. Get those tickets now. Do not wait. Guys, welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. That means you guys send me ideas, you drop me articles, you let me know what's going on in the world, and we figure out what's going on together. And we respond to it. And we're like, this is messed up, or this is great, or this is in between. You know the drill. Lucy's here, my co-host. Meow. Hi, Lucy. She's really chill today. And I think the lower third is blocking her a little bit. But she's really liking her post here. So she'll come more into the shot later. You kind of just got to let her do it on her time. You know, like she decides when it happens, which, by the way, for those comics between myself and Lucy, LucyandRon.com, I've been posting more of those comics. Myself and Inks Pixels have been working on more of them. LucyandRon.com to check that out. Guys, a story that we've been covering a lot has been issues with facial recognition. I've collaborated with Fight for the Future on a campaign to get facial recognition banned. And some cities have already done that. Cambridge, Massachusetts has banned it. San Francisco, California has banned it. Oakland, California has banned it. Isn't it interesting that the first cities to ban it, pretty much the first two cities to ban it, there were 3 total, but 2 out of the first 3 are the cities where it's being most developed. There she is. Here she is. What's up, Lucy? San Francisco and Oakland. This technology is being developed in the Bay Area, in Silicon Valley. And those 2 cities were like, nope, get it out of here. Law enforcement, you cannot use facial recognition software. It is faulty. It is unreliable. There is a racial bias, and it is dangerous and overreaching. So in London, they experimented with a thing where they did facial recognition in real time. So what they would do, and we talked about this on the show, I'm sure you guys remember when we talked about it, they would just have facial recognition software going and monitored by police as people were walking down the street. And if a match came up where they said, hey, there's a warrant for this person's arrest, they would just go arrest that person on the street. Yeah, little Orwellian, huh? A little bit of an overreach, right? Yeah, just a little bit. And imagine something like that in the United States, where you have this software, which, by the way, can be faulty up to 98% of the time. So they might give you matches. It might not even be the person. In fact, it probably isn't. That stuff's already happening. They have deported people to countries they've never even been to before because of mismatches. But anyway, so here's a follow-up on that story. They were doing that in London. A lot of people were sounding the alarm. How did it all end up? Well, here's a little bit of good news to start our Tuesday. Facial recognition technology scrapped at King's Cross site. Looks like they had to nix it. Let's see what happened here. Surveillance software switched off at prestigious development after backlash. Facial recognition technology will not be deployed at the King's Cross development in the future, following a backlash prompted by the site owner's admission last month that the software had been used in its CCTV systems. The developer behind the prestigious central London site said the surveillance software had been used between May 2016 and March 2018 in 2 cameras on a busy pedestrian street running through its heart. It said it had abandoned plans for a wider development across the 67-acre, 50-building site and had no plans to reintroduce any form of facial recognition technology at the King's Cross estate. The site became embroiled in the debate about the ethics of facial recognition 3 weeks ago after releasing a short statement saying its cameras use a number of detection and tracking methods, including facial recognition. So this is a start. This is a start that what happened in London and what had been going on in London was unacceptable, and that people do not want facial recognition, that it is overreaching, that it is faulty, and it's just not necessary. There's no evidence, pretty much no evidence that this helps police catch a bad guy better. Like there's pretty much nothing linking. In fact, a lot of detectives have come out and they're like, no, this is just something that can be hacked and abused. This isn't something, they're not going to get the bad guy better with stuff like this because it's so faulty anyway. All they're doing is making these databases that they can abuse later and that are very susceptible to hacking. They've already been hacked. One of the border offices in the United States was hacked. A bunch of travel photos were just stolen. So imagine something like that getting into the wrong hands. So King's Cross Estate, they said they had to scrap their facial, or King's Cross. What did I call it? I think I got it wrong. I said it wrong, but whatever. King's Cross Estate nixed it, and that's a win against facial recognition. So a little bit of good news to start out our Tuesday today, which is pretty cool because we got some interesting news going on here. Here's something else I want to go to. And then we're going to have a little bit of a back to school theme. You know that municipal broadband is an important theme on this show. And what is municipal broadband, if maybe this is your first time here? Municipal broadband is basically city-owned internet, where instead of paying Comcast or AT&T for your internet, you get your internet from the city. And in the charter with your city, net neutrality is guaranteed. This is not only essential to internet access across the country and decent broadband options, this is also essential to a free and open internet because the cities will uphold net neutrality. And this is the final solution to win the net neutrality war once and for all. Net neutrality policy is great and it's important and we need it. But municipal broadband all across the country, it ends the issue because net neutrality will be written within the charter. And if it's city owned and the people have a seat at the table, we're not going to want some cable television 2.0 cut up internet. It's not going to happen. And cities who already have municipal broadband, they have the best internet in the country at a reasonable price, like Chattanooga, Tennessee, and like a little somewhere else. We talked about Colorado and Fort Collins. And here's what's going on in Fort Collins right now. Fort Collins, by the way, they voted to get municipal broadband. And here's an update on that. We talked about it when they voted for it. Because first Longmont, Colorado, and then Longmont, Colorado got it, and then Fort Collins got it. Because here's the thing about municipal broadband. It spreads. There's a reason Tennessee, which, by the way, we actually got a story about Tennessee later. That's not really flattering for Tennessee. But Tennessee, dominantly a red state. I used to live in Nashville. I can tell you the state, dominantly a red state. Nashville's a blue dot, but it's a pretty red state. They want statewide municipal broadband. Why? Well, because first of all, it's not really a left and a right issue. Everybody wants a free and open internet. Over 80% of citizens on the left, on the right, and everything in between favor net neutrality. But it's because they see what Chattanooga has. And they want that. So even though they have a government that's usually hands off, we don't want the government getting involved. Let the private corporations handle it. That's the type of government you typically see in Tennessee. But even in Tennessee, they want statewide broadband because they see what Chattanooga has. And they want it for everybody. So this is not a left-right issue. This is an issue about, do we want a free and open internet for the foreseeable future, or do we want to risk losing it? Because right now, we are at great risk of losing it. And here's an update about Fort Collins, Colorado, who voted to get a municipal broadband in their city. Colorado's fourth largest city offers public Wi-Fi 4 times faster than Comcast for the same price. Let me repeat that. Colorado's fourth largest city, they're referring to Fort Collins, offers public Wi-Fi 4 times faster than Comcast for the same price. Gee, I guess when you're not some for-profit entity who's just trying to price gouge consumers and pad the pockets of those at the top, and you're actually just concerned with providing a great service for residents because you yourself use it, everybody gets a better product. Isn't it interesting how that works? Isn't that interesting? All right, so let's see what's going on here. Public Wi-Fi 4 times faster than Comcast, same price. Municipal broadband in Fort Collins, Colorado went live Friday. And this is a couple days old, so this was the other Friday. Yeah, this was this past Friday. Yeah. That's really important. It was this past Friday. It wasn't the one before it. If it would have been the Friday before the last one, we would just have to scrap this story. I would just have to end this show completely. I mean, really, be like, wow, Rod, the egg is on my face. It was a Friday before this last one. I know you're thinking a free and open internet is essential to the exchange of ideas in our modern day and age. And if we lost it, it would be catastrophic for any type of change to potentially occur. But Ron, if it was the Friday before, this is just old news. We can't trust you for our news anymore. You're doing stuff that was like 2 Fridays ago, you goof. Right? But guys, sleep easy. It was this past Friday. All right. So here are the details of what's going on. Went live Friday, this past Friday, offering gigabit internet connections for the same price as comparatively sluggish Comcast. Those are the article's words. Now, Comcast, of course, is objecting to this. Now, again, I know if you guys are followers of this show, if you've been watching the show a long time, we've talked about municipal broadband issues for a long time. You know that I have a task force for municipal broadband in Southern California, and that has extended to people starting their own task force throughout the country, which is awesome. And I showed up to a city hall. I made the case for municipal broadband. My city of Pasadena told me we can't afford it. So now I'm back to the drawing board trying to get them to get next century cities into the city to do an assessment. And that's been an uphill battle. Everything I've sent the city, I've not gotten a return. So, but what Comcast and these big cable companies do, they have red place and tape via contractual agreements and stuff like that to prevent cities from doing this. And when Fort Collins at first wanted to offer municipal broadband, Comcast resisted. They said that it was out of the contract, that they can't do that. But Fort Collins found a way around it. Typically, the way they're finding ways around this is they're saying, hey, when we made this agreement, net neutrality was part of the agreement. We don't have net neutrality anymore. So our agreement is null and void. And that's how they're able to do this. Anyway, Xfinity offers in Fort Collins offer 250 megabit connections for $60 a month. Well, for the same price, Fort Collins Connections offers 1 gigabit download and upload speeds. More Xfinity, okay, for for the same price, excuse me. So for the same price, Fort Collins Connections offers 1 gigabit download and upload speeds that are way faster. Moreover, the municipal broadband is likely to engage in the kinds of preferential access that major telecom companies are free to pursue following the death of net neutrality early in the Trump administration. So they're saying, hey, city-owned internet, you don't have to worry about net neutrality going away. Whereas with Comcast, you do, because Comcast wants net neutrality to go away. Why do you think on MSNBC you're never going to see an honest report on net neutrality? Why do you think that on MSNBC you see people like Rachel Maddow, a Rhodes Scholar, and who else did it? A couple other folks on MSNBC do it. You see them go on the network and they pretend like they don't understand what net neutrality is. Like they don't understand why it's a big deal. Like they don't understand what it really means. It's because their paycheck depends on them pretending to not understand it. Rachel Maddow understands net neutrality. If I understand it, so does she. But MSNBC is owned by Comcast. Comcast wants net neutrality to go away. Why? Because if it does, they can price gouge the internet even further. They can charge you different packages. You can have, hey, you want this social media package? That's an extra $100 a month if you want to get Twitter and Facebook. They can have content providers pay for faster lanes. And guess who's going to be able to fork over that money? The big guys, the behemoths, the corporate media, not shows like this. So anyway, all right, let's see what else is going on here. Fort Collins Connection is clearly aware of its place in contrast to the private sector's loathed service. Finally, a broadband provider you can trust, touts the city's website. Connection didn't just happen, though. It was a hard-fought foray into the realm of government broadband utilities that Comcast pushed hard against. The Colorado Cable Telecommunications Association, of which Comcast is a member, donated a whopping $815,000 towards a campaign to oppose the ballot measure. So that's what cities are up against. Big Cable does everything they can to fight this. As long as there's money to be made for Big Cable. If it's in an area where Big Cable doesn't want to bother building because they don't feel like they can make enough money, well, then they'll let the cities do what they want because they don't care. But if it's in a place like Fort Collins, in a more urban area, an area where they know there's money to be made, they're going to fight this tooth and nail. $815,000 in a local election to keep municipal broadband off the ballot. And it still succeeded. So all told, nearly $1 million was spent to oppose Connection's creation compared to only $15,000 to support the proposal. But in a fiscal David and Goliath story, Fort Collins passed the initiative. So in Fort Collins, they got it. Nearly $1 million to $15,000. Nearly $1 million spent by Big Cable to make sure that the citizens of Fort Collins can't get city-owned internet. $15,000 was spent to make it a reality, and they won. And now they have internet at a fraction of the price of Comcast, and it's better. Isn't that something? And, this is one of those things one of the New Year's resolutions that I made, if you guys remember, was I said that, there's a bunch of cities that have big broadband projects in the development, and it's going to be my goal that my city of Pasadena, California, where I live, is going to be on that list come 2020. We're at least going to be on that list. And I haven't succeeded in that goal. And I'm trying. It's an uphill battle when nobody, I just don't have the support of the city that I feel like I need. And I'm not blaming the city for that. I'm blaming myself. It's up to me to show why it's important. And I'm still working on it. I'm not going to give up. And I know a lot of you guys are in other cities and you're trying to make it a reality too. And you watch this show, and some of you have scored meetings with your mayors. That's amazing. Some of you have gotten city council people on board. Some of you have gotten the DSA involved. Some of you have gotten your own task force going. That's amazing. And we all got to keep going, because look at this success story. Look at what Fort Collins pulled off. And I think part of the reason, one of the things that I think might have helped Fort Collins pull it off, was the fact that they had a case study to look at. They looked at Longmont, Colorado, and they're like, look at what Longmont has. We want that. Longmont is getting municipal broadband. They're going to get better internet for cheaper. And I believe it's already available there, and it's been successful. So Fort Collins was like, we want this. And I know Denver's looking into something as well. And I drink water from a mason jar. So municipal broadband, much like strikes and much like the common cold, is very contagious. Contagious in a good way. So good for you, Fort Collins. That's awesome. And here's just another testament to, city-owned internet. You get better internet at a better price, and you don't have to worry about the internet as we know it going away anytime soon, because net neutrality will be preserved. And if we had this all across the country, guess what? The net neutrality war is over. It's over, and we won. And in the meantime, we got to keep fighting. We got to keep fighting for net neutrality protections. We got to keep fighting to reinstate net neutrality, and we got to keep fighting to build municipal broadband all over the country, because without a free and open internet, what can we really expect to accomplish as far as a communication vehicle goes? I mean, really, like if we went back to a world where we didn't really have the internet as a communication tool, what could we really hope to accomplish? What could we really, if it wasn't for a free and open internet, will we really know what's going on with Julian Assange, with Flint, with wages, with war? I mean, the list goes on and on. And sometimes people are like, Ron, I know this is an important issue, but there's so many other issues going on. And I understand that. And if we don't have a good communication vehicle, what can we really hope to accomplish with any of these other issues? That's why a free and open internet is so important. And we live in a time where it's time to kind of get in your lane and try to make this place a little bit better. And this is the lane I've chosen. I've chosen the lane of municipal broadband and net neutrality. And I wish I was further as far as my local fight goes, you know. I really wish I was further, and I'm trying. But I'm glad that, you know, it has taken hold across the country and it continues to grow. And this is a good victory for Fort Collins. This is really cool. And we're going to continue to watch this and see how things continue to develop there. And hopefully places like Fort Collins, Colorado, places like Chattanooga, Tennessee, places like Sandy, Oregon can continue to be a model and a blueprint for the rest of the country. All right. So we mentioned Tennessee and we mentioned Chattanooga. Here's some not so good news from Tennessee. This is kind of interesting. So it is back to school day, actually, in some places. A lot of places, you go back to school the day after Labor Day. So, hey, if you're back to school, welcome back to school. If you're in school and you're watching this show, should you really be watching this show while school's going on? Are you breaking the rules? I hope you're in a free period or a study hall, because you should not be watching this show while school is going on. Is there a teacher up there lecturing and you're listening to me instead? That's not good. Pay attention to the lecture. What are they teaching you about? Does it involve critical thinking? There's a fair chance it doesn't, but I hope it does. I want to maintain optimism. Well, here's something going on. Check this out. Nashville school bans Harry Potter series, citing risk of conjuring evil spirits. A Catholic school in Nashville, Tennessee has banned the Harry Potter series because a reverend at the school claims the books includes both good and evil magic, as well as spells, which, if read by a human, can conjure evil spirits. Wow. Okay. So a dude whose job involves dressing up like a wizard is worried that a fictional book is going to conjure evil spirits. You know what? I'll tell you what Harry Potter is going to conjure in kids, okay? I'll tell you right now what Harry Potter will conjure in kids, what it'll bring about in children. What Harry Potter will bring about in children is that they'll discover, some of them might like Harry Potter. So what these children will discover is that, hey, reading can be really fun and rewarding. I enjoy reading. That's the horrible discovery they'll make. And then you know what's going to happen? They're going to read more. And they're going to read more complex things. And they're going to be introduced to different ideas. Then what's going to happen? They're going to learn how to think for themselves. And that's dangerous. We can't have that. There's always been this thing. And I went to a Catholic school growing up. I attended Catholic school. We had the same thing. Goosebumps books weren't permitted. That was the big, oh, you can't have that. If we see you with that, you can't have that. And I've never understood that type of rationale, because you want children and younger, like younger children. The younger the better, really. If they get a love for reading in the first grade, that's awesome. If it doesn't happen until middle school, that's still awesome. As long as it happens. So you want them to read things that they connect with. And I understand you can't just be like, all right, the summer reading list is just a bunch of Goosebumps books. It's just Harry Potter. No, you have to kind of lead them to other books and other ideas. Of course, I understand that. I'm not suggesting you just let them read whatever the hell they want. But as far as just banning Harry Potter or banning Goosebumps, which it was in my day, why would you ban something that's likely to be the catalyst to have a love for reading in children? I understand there needs to be some parameters. I understand, if a kid wants to read like Literatica in school or something like that, you should be like, that's not okay. That's not appropriate. You can't have that here. I get that. But Harry Potter, it's a fiction book about a kid who has magic powers. What's the big friggin' Goosebumps? It was supposed to be a little scarier. Not that big of a deal. It's not smut. It's not, it's not pornographic. I mean, come on. So it should be encouraged when kids are reading that on their own and they're coming to it on their own. That should be encouraged. And you should make the connections. Hey, if you like Harry Potter and you like Lord of the Rings, maybe you're going to connect with epics. Here, let's introduce you to something a little more challenging. Check out the Odyssey. Check that out. Check out the Odyssey. Oh, you kind of connect with that? Let's bring in Greek mythology. Oh, and you know what? You know what they did in Greece? That was where they really founded a lot of philosophical ideas and democracy. Check out Plato. Check out Aristotle. You see how it can all start with just a fictional book. And I'm not suggesting that if a kid discovers Harry Potter, they're going to start reading philosophy a year later or anything like that. I don't know if that's the case or not. Every person is different. I personally didn't really connect with the Harry Potter series. I read one of the books. I thought it was okay, and I didn't really get into it enough to read any of the other ones. That's just me. But the point of this is, why would you discourage something that's going to encourage reading in children? Why wouldn't you encourage that? There's evil spells. You've got to be kidding me. Here, let's see if there's anything else to this quote here. The publication obtained an email from Reverend Dan Rehill, a pastor at St. Edward's Catholic School Parish, which was sent to parents. All right, so here's Reverend Rehill's logic here. These books present magic as both good and evil, which is not true, but in fact a clever deception. The curses and spells used in the books are actual curses and spells, which when read by a human being risks conjuring evil spirits into the presence of the person reading the text. This stuff is not true, but it could conjure evil spirits. This stuff is not true. First of all, it's not true. Parents, it's not true. There's no good and evil spirits. Well, except there's evil spirits, and your kids could conjure up a spell. If your kid reads Harry Potter, your kid might become possessed. This person honestly believes this. And they are in charge of the task of teaching children. This person probably saw The Exorcist and thought it was a documentary. Which I think it actually was based on some amount of a true story, I think. I'm not sure. I think The Exorcist was loosely based on something that did actually happen. But, are there things out there we can't explain? Certainly. Does that mean that you're going to conjure an evil spirit by reading Harry Potter, a fictional book that a woman wrote to entertain her own children? Wow. And that guy, he believes this. He really believes that. And he's teaching children. If I was a parent, I would pull my kid out of that school immediately. Not because of just the Harry Potter thing, but because this guy is in charge of my child's education, and he believes you can conjure up a curse by reading a fiction book meant for children about magic. And it's fiction. It's totally fiction. And this guy believes that. I do not want this person in charge of my child's education. All right. So this comes from our Reddit subsection, and this is from Communism 1919. And they asked my opinion on this, which, by the way, I forgot to mention some of the other stories. Well, we got a story from Edwin coming up, and Lucy, I have to see this paper. And Josh shared the Fort Collins story. Josh, thank you for sharing that Fort Collins story, by the way. But this is from Communism 1919 over on our Reddit, and they asked me if I had an opinion on this. Here's a adjunct faculty named Jen Roberts. I have cancer surgery scheduled later this month, so I have to miss the first 2 weeks of class. Rather than providing me with a sub, the university is proposing to remove me from the class I designed and cutting my load and paycheck by 2/3. Adjuncting sucks. So, this is just a tweet that someone posted on my Reddit, so I can't necessarily speak to, everything in regards to this issue. But is this a real thing that does happen? Absolutely. And assuming all of this is true, my heart goes out to Miss Roberts. That was her name, right? Yeah, Roberts. My heart goes out to Miss Roberts. I, of course, wish her all the best. in her treatment. And I can speak from actual firsthand experience that, yeah, this happens to adjuncts all the time. Stuff like this happens to adjuncts all the time. And looking at it bigger picture, again, I used to adjunct myself. I like to throw this statistic out there. When I was a comedian touring colleges, I would get paid more money to perform at one college than I would to teach at one for an entire semester. Now, I understand it's a weird comparison because you got to factor in travel costs and stuff like that. But the point is, adjuncts are grossly underpaid. It is unbelievable. And if if I really sat down and tried to think, what was I getting paid hourly to adjunct? If I had to break down, the time I would spend meeting with students, the time I would spend preparing a class, the time I would spend grading, the time I would spend in the classroom, there's no way it's more than $10 an hour. There's no way. I mean, I would really have to sit down. I'd really have to sit down because this was a couple of years ago. But I can tell you there is no way it was $10 an hour. It was definitely less than that. It was probably about, I would say it's probably about 6 or 7. If I had to factor in, and most adjuncts would probably attest to that, because you don't get paid by the hour. You get paid like just a rate for teaching the course. And if you factor in all the external things, with what I was getting paid in Tennessee, which, by the way, I allowed my students to read Harry Potter if they wanted to. But I guarantee it was less than $10 an hour. And adjuncts often do not get benefits. Adjuncts, well, pretty much all the time. I mean, unless they're actual full-time faculty, you don't get benefits. And they use temp services for adjuncts now, where they just, the person's not even qualified to teach in some cases. They're just thrown in there. They're expected to teach a class. So something like this does not surprise me. That woman is probably just treated as a contract employee. So, hey, you have cancer surgery, tough. We need someone in there. So we're just going to take this class away from you. If you can't commit to the class, you're out. So, and again, I mean, this is just a tweet. So I can't go out saying, like, oh, well, this is for sure, like this is just one tweet from a person who I do not know. But could something like this be a reality? Absolutely, it could. So my response to you, Communism 1919, you posted this on the Reddit. You asked me if I had thoughts. My thoughts are, we have lost the idea of education as a public good. And something like this could certainly happen. And I have a feeling this is likely valid. Like, I'm sure this woman is telling the truth. And yeah, this is the reality of what we live in. We've lost the idea of education of the public good as a public good. We do not treat our teachers with the respect and dignity they deserve. We do not pay them what they deserve at any level. Teachers do not get paid what they should be getting paid, and adjuncts especially are highly neglected. It's unbelievable the stuff I would see. I mean, I would see stuff where I saw this one guy. He was actually, ironically enough, he was a math adjunct. I saw him in our lounge, which we just had this big, none of us had our own offices. I mean, are you crazy? Of course we didn't have our own offices. We all had this big lounge that everybody just shared, and you would just have to try to find a workspace. I mean, sometimes I would just go out where the students were and just sit there because there was more space there and there were more resources. They'd be like, oh, Professor Placone, Mr. Placone, why aren't you in the teacher's area? And I'm like, well, because there's not, like, I need to access this printer and that's easier to come out here. You'd be surprised how bleak our facilities actually are. But anyway, the math guy, he was crunching the numbers, and he was finding out that between all the money he was spending, between all the commuting he spent each week going from campus to campus, he was barely breaking even. Like, he was on his job. This was his full-time job. He was barely breaking even on it. Because he's like, gee, every semester I get my coat dry cleaned. I get, and all these things. And he's not reimbursed for any of this stuff. And he found out he was barely breaking even. An adjunct teacher. So yeah, this is just another, for instance, We have lost the idea of education as a public good. We do not pay our teachers what they should be getting paid. And it is a huge problem in our society. So thank you for sharing that with the Reddit, Communism 1919. And here's something Edwin shared. And this is interesting. So I just saw the headline. I have not read this article yet, but I think this will be a fun one for us to dive into. Check this out. Edwin shares this. The U.S. unleashes military to fight fake news and disinformation. What are they? They're going to drone. They're going to drone satirical websites. Not any people, just like the code itself. All right, let's see how the military is going to protect us from fake news. Which, by the way, the military intelligence, which has led us into war after war that we shouldn't be in. All the people that told us there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, all the people that sold us on Iraq the first time, on Libya, on Afghanistan, they're trying to sell us on Iran now, on what's going on in Syria, all those institutions that just make up whatever they want to continue an economy of war that will inevitably fail and is morally repulsive. They are going to protect us from fake news. That, man, sign me up. Oh, boy. All right, here's what's going on. U.S. unleashes military to fight fake news and disinformation. Fake news and social media posts are such a threat to U.S. security that the Defense Department is launching a project to repel large-scale automated disinformation attacks. As the top Republican in Congress blocks efforts to protect the integrity of elections. That's according to the article. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency wants custom software that can unearth fakes hidden among more than 500,000 stories, photos, video, and audio clips. If successful, the system, after 4 years of trials, may expand to detect malicious intent and prevent viral fake news from polarizing society. So this is what we're spending our time on. Now, we ignore the fact every day that our corporate media is owned by entities that have no business being in news and information. MSNBC is owned by Comcast. CNN is owned by Time Warner. Fox News is just part of Rupert Murdoch's wet dream. None of these entities have any business being in news and information. We do not have any type of media structure. We do not have any transparency in our news and information. We have forgotten the idea of journalism as a public good. We do not fund it. We actually shun the idea of journalism. The people who go to places to try to tell you the truth about what's going on, those people are shamed and have to start their own outlets and hope it's successful to be able to continue doing what they do. That's our media, or lack thereof, in the U.S. And instead, what we think is some big issue, and when I say we, I mean the powers that be that want to maintain this horrific status quo, they're trying to convince you that a fake video, that these fake videos where they have someone's mouth move and saying things and it's not the actual person, that's the biggest threat. That's some huge issue, and we now need the military to step in. The military needs to step in and have this algorithm to save us from fake news. You have got to be kidding me. I mean, this is unbelievable. The priorities could not be more backwards. They could not be. And are there entities out there that publish all kinds of bogus stuff? Of course. You know how long we've had that? Since the advent of the United States as we know it. Our media structure in this country used to be arguably one of the best in the world, where the government would subsidize different newspapers. And you would get a subsidy if you were trying to provide news and information. Different schools of political thought all had their own newspapers, constitutionalists, federalists, socialists. They all had their own newspapers. It would be disseminated throughout the country. And anybody could participate regardless of their financial power. Now, one of the symptoms of this, people would publish bogus stuff all the time. That's where the phrase yellow journalism originated. People would and you can find this stuff in libraries. They would publish ridiculous stuff, and citizens would have the task of trying to filter it all and find the truth. I'm not saying it's perfect. Of course it isn't. Nothing is. But to entertain this fantasy that, but fake news is the biggest thing. These crazy memes out there, and then these deep fake videos. What? And this is another area where we can scapegoat Russia. We can blame Russia for this. And now the military's getting involved. The military is going to save you from fake news. The entity that has gotten us into war after war after war based on lies and deception. And all these wars benefit are the oil companies and the 1%, and pads the pockets of the defense contractors. And they lie to you, the American people, to put us in these horrific wars where people are dying, where people overseas are dying, where people domestically are dying for no cause whatsoever, for the cause of the 1% in the military industrial complex and the oil companies. We have an economy of war based on lies and deception. And these people, these entities are going to protect us from deep fake videos. That's, wow. That is quite, and there's people who probably believe that to actually be true. Quite a world we're living in. Thank you for sharing this, Edwin. The military industrial complex, who has lied us into every war since Nam and going forward, and they'll continue to lie us into more. They're going to protect us from fake news because there's some bogus memes out there. That's what's wrong with our media. They figured it out. They nailed it. Wow. Guys, the song of the day today, I want to bring this up here before I go to the chat, see what you guys are saying. But I know that Dorian is happening. Hurricane Dorian is happening. I know that Florida, the Bahamas, South Carolina are among those that are affected. So I thought for today's song of the day, I would try to have a song referencing one of those places. So the song of the day is by an artist named Darren Bradbury, and that song is called Exile on Myrtle Beach. It is an amazing satirical folk song about Myrtle Beach and him going to Myrtle Beach. I have some friends in Myrtle Beach. I hope they're safe. I have some family in South Carolina too. I hope they're safe. I have, and so all my friends out there in Florida, please stay safe. Bahamas, our thoughts are with you. It's crazy what's going on. It's almost like something weird's going on in the climate. I don't know. But Exile on Myrtle Beach by Darren Bradbury, to let Dorian, everybody dealing with Dorian, know that you're in our thoughts. And check out that tune. Darren Bradbury is he identifies as a folk satirist, which I think is an accurate description of what he is. He's very funny, very clever, really fun folk songs, kind of like in the vein of John Prine and Todd Snyder. And he's based in East Nashville. He's a total Nashville story, originally from Jersey, but lives in Nashville now. It's Darrin, Bradbury, Bradbury. Check out the track Exile on Myrtle Beach. I promise you will not be disappointed. So that song again, Darren Bradbury, Exile on Myrtle Beach. And another song shout out I want to give. Roger Waters did Wish You Were Here in the UK for an event for Julian Assange recently. I wanted to show the video, but I totally can't because of copyright issues. But look that up. Roger Waters of Pink Floyd did Wish You Were Here acoustic by himself in the UK at an event for Julian Assange. That's a really cool cause. And, Wish You Were Here. If you're my generation, or maybe even if you're not, the song Wish You Were Here was likely ruined for you by a bunch of high school and or frat boys later in college with an acoustic guitar who would play that song until you couldn't stand it anymore. There was this dude in high school, and he would just play that song religiously. Every day, he would just pick up that song and frickin' play it so much. And I'm like, I can't listen to this song anymore. You ruined this song for me. I used to love this song. You took it from me. Well, you can take that song back because Roger Waters just played it acoustically for an event for Julian Assange. I'm going to watch that video, and it's going to totally give me that song back. And if that song was never ruined for you, consider yourself fortunate. So anyway, Non de Plume Pena Ame, thank you very much for the super chat contribution. George W. Bush's Leave No Child Behind has totally screwed up our education system. Yes, that definitely helped. There's a lot of things that screwed up our education system. That's one of many, many things. But absolutely, No Child Left Behind ended up leaving education behind. Whoops. Oh, well, bedelba. So back to school. And if you're in Nashville, no Harry Potter. So ridiculous. Guys, tour dates, I got them. I'm leaving tomorrow. Which, by the way, this is our only show for the week because I'm going to be on the road all next week. But I will be coming at you. I'll be doing segments from my phone. Graham Elwood and myself will be making segments from the road. But I will not be doing my normal Get Your News On with Ron stream because my travel schedule will not permit it. But we're coming to ya. Upper Midwest, we're coming. Omaha, Nebraska, B-Dub. I will see you at the show tomorrow. I'm stoked. Omaha, Nebraska, tomorrow. Sioux Falls, South Dakota on Thursday. Get your tickets now. Friday, Madison, Wisconsin. Saturday, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Sunday, Iowa City, Iowa. Get your tickets, ronplaco.com. Can't wait to see you Upper Midwest. Stoked for that. And also, we're coming to Australia in November. Perth, Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne. Get your tickets at ronplaco.com for that now. And we will be announcing 2020 dates really soon. Tucson, Arizona, we're coming. Albuquerque, New Mexico, we're coming. San Francisco, we're coming back. We'll be announcing a lot of 2020 dates really soon, so keep your eyes and ears open there. And where do you want to see us? Email me at ronplaco.com. Go to ronplaco.com, email me, tell me where you want to see us because we're booking 2020 now. That's Grandma Wood and myself. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. For a Give What You Can level, you get all kinds of exclusive content. You get dialogues between myself and Lucy. You get stand-up clips not available anywhere else. You get my album in its entirety, and that's for a Give What You Can level. And you help me expand this show. I have equipment I need to upgrade. I want to do more segments. I want to start a cooking segment. The Get Your Food On with Ron. I want to start that. I want to do more interviews. I want to do more. I want to have more guests. I want to explore more things. I want to do more man on the street segments, if you will. Patreon.com/Ron Placone if you are so able. And guys, I'll tell you what, that municipal broadband story, I know I feel like I shouldn't feel this way. I feel like it's almost selfish of me, but I was so happy about the story because it's awesome to see municipal broadband succeeding. But I felt a little discouraged that I'm not further in my task. And I know a municipal broadband victory anywhere is a victory for all of us. And I'm so happy that because of this show, it is, people have been doing stuff in their communities now. And I need to continue that, and I need to amplify that, and I want to take it further. I just have to figure out how. How? I said like how. I mispronounced how. I need some water. I just have to figure out how. Municipal broadband is part of this show's mission. It really is. Because, at the start of 2019, I said, this is the time to pick a lane. And this is a time where electoral politics is not going to get us out of this mess. We need movements. We need strikes. We need movements. We need protests. And we need task force. We need all those things. And the task that I picked was municipal broadband and net neutrality. And I've done some things I joined up with Fight for the Future. We did a campaign for net neutrality. We showed up at Mitch McConnell's office, delivered 3.5 million signatures for net neutrality. Mitch McConnell didn't care. So now we got to take it into our own hands. And we got to build city-owned internet all across the country. And I'm trying to do my part for that. So I got to figure that out. I really do. I got to figure out how to get further in that mission. And I'm working on it. And in the meantime, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being here. Thank you for getting your news on with me. You guys made this show. Thank you for the articles. Let me make sure I get everyone. Communism 1919. Thank you for that tweet over on the Reddit subsection. And Edwin, thank you for the article on the military. I'm glad that they're going to protect us from fake news. And Josh, thank you for sharing the good news from Fort Collins. And Nashville, read Harry Potter anyway. Do not resist. Read Harry Potter anyway. Guys, thank you for being part of this. I will be back next week. I will be back next Tuesday. So we got a week off. I will be back next Tuesday. I believe that's the 10th. Yeah, September 10th. Because I will be traveling back. Our last show is Sunday night. I'll be traveling back to Los Angeles on Monday. But I will be posting clips in the meantime. So this channel will be active. We just won't be having our live streams at the usual time. So I will see you a week from today, next Tuesday. In the meantime, stay safe in this crazy world of ours. And thank you for being the best executive producers in the business. This has been Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. And Lucy's climbing into my lap. No, she wants to play. She's ready. She's like, all right, show's over. Let's go play. Fair enough, Lucy. I'll see you guys in a week. Peace.